Had his rear end tickled there for a moment as they went up into clearways.
Look at the size.
That will get him moving, that will.
Certainly will. Look at the size differential with little Kirk McCarthy
and
Howard
Whitby. Yeah, but my money's still on McCarthy when it comes to that kind of shenanigans.
And on the
Here comes Jim up the inside. Jimmy Moody then on 21. I was going to say Whitby is tough though on the brakes, squeezing it across the nose of Jim Moody. OK, Jim. Is that a Glaswegian kiss, Jim, or is there something... I
am astounded not many people do that to Jim Moody.
And Liv. We're out of Druids at the moment, heading down the hill towards Bottom Bend. A little bit of a wheelie from McCarthy. Well, we know McCarthy is quick. He's a great entrant in this, of course. We've seen James Tozen ride the Castrol Hondas in the World Supersport Series. Now we're seeing the Castrol Hondas British versions of McCarthy and Moody.
And let's not forget that Kirk McCarthy is an ex-Australian Superbike champion as well.
A thoroughly nice guy to boot. I think these are a great team, the Castrol Hondas.
It's a great signing for Castrol Honda.
Look, number 6 coming through now at last. That is Dean Thomas. Now, Dean Thomas was very quick in qualifying. In fact, no, he wasn't. He was back on the 3rd row. So, what do I know? He was back on the 3rd row, sorry, for the restart of this race. So, Dean Thomas is right there now, going very well. He was 2nd on the grid in the original start of this race. 7 laps later, he was way back on the 3rd row for this restart. Got that, Jules?
I've got that, Keith, and you were not wrong. On that first lap of the restarted race, Dean Thomas has set the fastest lap of the race so far, 90.67 miles an hour round the Indy circuit on a 600cc Supersport.
Incredible stuff. Dean Thomas is teammates this year in the D&E camp with Scott Smart. So Scott Smart is gainfully employed yet again, so that keeps him out of our commentary box anyway.
Yes. Hallelujah. I'm not scared of Scott. I'm scared of the 3 blokes in front, though.
I'll be scared of his mum, Maggie.
Oh, no, that's a different matter.
Over the line it is. 16.
Here comes Jim again.
Yeah, again, but I don't know whether he's going to do it on Howard Whitby. Howard Whitby on the brakes into paddock. He's like he's on, well, something different altogether. Whitby on the brakes, up towards McCarthy. Is he going to slide up behind him? McCarthy's no slouch on the brakes either.
And McCarthy's much, much lighter, a few kilograms less to stop there as well.
Yeah, it's just skin stretched over bone.
It certainly is. An ex-work Suzuki Superbike man as well at the World Championship, Kirk McCarthy. He has a pedigree.
Streaming down the hill. Well, we've had 1 stoppage in this Supersport race. In British Championship racing, that can extend to something like 3 in a day.
It can indeed. Now let's remind ourselves of the time gaps after that first 7-lap segment. Kirk McCarthy led Howard Whitby by 0.4 of a second. So you can add that 0.4 of a second to the couple of, well, thousandths of a second he's got at the moment. Jim Moody was in 3rd place, 0.8 of a second behind the leader. And he's closed up. Well, he's obviously lost his about a second now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting his calculator in a twist.
Well,
dear me, that Ducati in 4th was on a mission down there.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, Ducatis in Supersport racing, in British Supersport racing this year. The Ducatis are looking very punchy indeed round here, and you can see there Dean Thomas right on the case. So that Ducati making some power around this little Indy circuit. Just a mile and a half round here. Really no time to rest at all. And we're going to watch them now up into Clearways Corner. And again, Whitby right on McCarthy's case. So McCarthy is not getting away at all. He's had clean air in front of him throughout this restarted race. And the aggregate time, well, he's got a bit of work to do. McCarthy's got to stay... well, he's got to stay just behind Whitby, hasn't he?
That's about it. The man with work to do, of course.
Here comes Jim up the inside. Yeah, but watch on the brakes. Oh, he's been there before. Has he managed to save it this time? No. Howard Whitby hung on in there. Wow, that's incredible. Jim Moody was past Howard Whitby into the braking area.
Astonishing. There's tough and there's tough, and that is just...
Or stupid. Still beaten to the corner.
That was Keith Hewen with that adjective.
I did it in your voice, though.
Now, the man in 4th place making progress, the Ducati of Dean Thomas.
Making more than progress.
But unfortunately has a 7-second plus deficit.
Indeed.
From the first segment of the race.
Started this second part of the race on the 3rd row of the grid, some 7 places behind the leader, which is incredible. And look at him now.
If he could have got started in that first 7 laps.
Oh, look at this. He's right there in 4th place. He's caught him. He's reeled him right in. That is a superb ride from him. So, Dean Thomas, a young Australian, is right there on the back of this bunch. So what was that about?
Yes, indeed.
An Australian leading a Yorkshireman, leading a Scotsman, and another Australian, indeed.
Deeply worrying. And Kirk McCarthy, I was told by the Castrol Honda pit, has not won a race, any race, since I think 1996.
Well, this could be his day.
So you can bet you all...
a little wheelie down the hill then. He's enjoying this, isn't he?
I get the impression, Keith, that you are absolutely right as we look back down the back. Lots of action as usual in the Supersport race.
McCarthy still from Whitby, from Moody, but the closing menace in this is the Ducati, the twin-cylinder Ducati, the 748 Ducati of Dean Thomas is right there now, so watch out for Thomas. Dean Thomas on the D&E Ducati Racing UK bike.
And he is really making that thing hook up.
Here comes Jim. Jim, I tell you what, Jim gets good drive out of clearways. No, he won't do, because Howard Whitby on the brakes. He's going to try around the outside again. Oh, Jim's toughed him this time, though. I think the word tuft is what I meant.
I think you're absolutely, that'll do, Mr. Hewitt. Whitby on the inside.
Okay.
Outrageous.
I'll take it all back. We're at Paddock Bend, and Whitby has gone back into second place. Well, Dean Thomas, can that Ducati get past these battling duo for second place?
Outrageous stuff all round. And these, well, no surprise that the front three are pulling away, given their 4-second advantage from the first 7-lap segment. But the big shock is Dean Thomas. Right there, the yellow leathers on the yellow 748 Ducati.
Well, of course, it is maybe a shock, the fact that he's had to come from a long way back in part 1 of this Super Sports race. But, of course, he was the second qualifier behind Whitby. And he's obviously proved that he's no slouch around this Indy circuit.
Here comes Jim again.
Yeah, he's going to try that one and make it stick one day, isn't he? So Howard Whitby leads on him again. We're looking at Kurt McCarthy, but it's Whitby, yes, and Whitby remains in second place on bike 34. 21 is Jim Moody. 6 is the Australian Dean Thomas. Round the outside of Jim Moody at Druids. I don't believe it.
Jim, what's happening, Jim? What is dead?
This is life, Jim, but not as we know it.
Absolutely. We'll have to do some sums later, but Dean Thomas, he stays mixed in with these guys, isn't a threat to the other three's podium positions potentially.
Well,
does that make sense?
Well, I'll tell you what, if he manages to get past a lot of them, of course.
That's a different matter.
And then Dean Thomas at this race, still a long way to go in this race yet.
Sure
Dean
is.
Thomas, he knows he's got to really gain second after second if he's going to get a podium position. Is it on, Julian? Theoretically?
Oh, it's going to be...
Oh, here he comes again. He's up the inside. Look at the power of that Ducati.
Hooks up out of there.
Yeah, but you see that? Howard Whitby, how late he was on the brake. Look.
Incredible. He was braking at the Dartford Tunnel.
Yeah, and it was closed.
Oh, he saw... Yeah.
I tell you, Dean Thomas, that Ducati, Dean Thomas, punching out these corners, really, loads and loads down front. 4-cylinder bikes, of course, that are around him at the moment, they are only 600cc bikes, and 748 Ducatis allowed the dispensation because it's a twin. Like in Superbike racing, you can have a 1000cc twin or a 750cc 4. Well, in Super Sports, it's slightly smaller, but the same scenario.
Exactly. And but Super Sport bikes are not as allowed as many modifications to the stock homologation road bike as you are in Superbike. Yeah, they're running stock forks. Oh, there he goes on the inside.
Look at the drive. The Ducati really just drove.
And Jim as well.
Jim's having a bit of a go with the slipstream here, but look at Whitby straight back on the brakes. Well, he can't do that.
That is just physically impossible. Thomas cuts to the inside.
Yeah, but he's got to make it stick, even though he's got the extra drive. Oh,
take that.
Whitby goes for the inside.
Get your money on.
Into the brake and goes straight underneath him at Druids. Well, look at the crowd. They're reeling. They're all sitting back.
Whitby second. And McCarthy making good his escape.
Oh, of course he is. It's because Whitby and the rest of them getting tangled up. McCarthy's on nice clean laps and just able to put it together. I mean, Kurt McCarthy will be reading his ball and he'll be wondering why he's able to ease away when he wasn't just a minute or two ago. And it's because this lot are tripping themselves up. Right, Dean Thomas needs to get past Howard Whitby and possibly tow Whitby and Moody on bike 21 in 4th place still, up to the leader, Kurt McCarthy. Whitby and Moody on bike 21 in 4th place still, up to the leader, Kurt McCarthy.
Yes, some old bloke in black and white used to race with number 16 on, didn't he?
Careful, bearded boy. Anyway, down Paddock Hill goes Kurt McCarthy, your race leader, but this is the battle for second place on the road. But of course, Jim Moody there in 4th place will be the man that's still on the podium, I think, from my calculations, as far as corrected aggregate time is concerned.
The answer to that, Keith, is you're dead right, and easily Jim stays on. The difference is between Dean Thomas, they're lying 3rd on the road, and that man Stuart Wickens, 4th. 5th on the road. Absolutely. That's 5th on the road. I'm getting my numbers right.
Looking at Kurt McCarthy now up towards Clearways. It's all about aggregate time for the top finishing positions in this Super Sport race. Dean Thomas is racing basically for honour. His first half, 7 laps before they stopped the race, was diabolical. We started this part of the race from way back on the 3rd row of the grid. Oh, as he cuts to the inside of Howard Whitby. Whitby tries to pull back into the slipstream. Here is McCarthy. He's already at Paddock Hill Bend and dropping down the hill.
Whitby's in front.
Whitby's got it again. Whitby's back in front of him. But here comes Dean Thomas charging up the hill towards Druids. No, Whitby on the brakes is too good for him. Into the little right-hander at Druids. Through the horseshoe.
Horseshoe.
And Jimmy Moody Mooney's hanging in there in 4th place still. Jim, oh, he's got the best seat in the house watching this lot.
Well, you're quite right, Keith. You pointed it out last time round that Mooney can sit there and still be on the rostrum. Dean Thomas, the yellow Ducati, has to press on to keep Stuart Wicken at bay. There is less than a second between those